Should I ignore it when my 22-month-old whines over everything? What I would say is if they go, I want that, I would say, you say, may I please have, just keep saying that. And don't give them what they want until they ask nicely, unless it's something they need to have, and then you can kind of redirect and then let them have it. Don't do a direct reward. Like if it's something they need to have and they're still whining, I would sort of move around, change the subject, and then give it to them if they have to have it, something they need. Like food. Sorry, my nose is been on the verge of a sneeze all day long. I said to a client, I felt like shoving tissues up my nose earlier, just talking through the tissues hanging out of my nostrils. I didn't do it, but lots of clients I would do that with. I've been working with for a while. Very comfortable with them. Okay. Okay, I decided to say, I hope I'm working on YouTube. I had to leave the last live and start a new one because YouTube's been glitching lately. Anyway, I'll just do a quick intro. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go to my website, BratBusters.com, you can see my free behavior board, my courses, which are on sale right now, Mother's Day. You can look into coaching and our podcast. We do that twice a week. Actually, the podcasts are all downloaded on YouTube, so you can see them too. My daughter and I do it together. So she works really hard on all this stuff. She does all the behind the scenes stuff with all the marketing and all that stuff. So it takes her quite a while to edit. You know, the reason why it takes her so long to do all this stuff is she's such a perfectionist. Whereas I would just slap it up. I wouldn't even worry about it. She's, no, I just wanted to change that and that. She's very particular. We're very different that way. Okay, I did get out of YouTube and I started it up again. 3-year-old's been kicking the 7-month-old baby. We'll never leave him alone with the baby for one thing, and put on the board, no hurting your little brother or sister. And then there's a consequence when he does. So the behavior boards, it starts at the age of 3. Check it out. It's completely free. It's on my website, BratBusters.com. It's the training wheels with all this stuff. I don't use that. I only use it initially. Like in the course, you'll see in the 3 to 12-year-old course, we only use the behavior board for the first 3 weeks, then we go off it. Like I would never use a behavior board. I want those kids looking right at me. I don't want them looking at a board. So, but when you're learning how to do all this, you get a behavior board. It's a visual cue. It helps you and the child sort of adjust all this new stuff, right? My goal with kids, you know, I get asked about discipline all the time, but that's not my focus. My focus is your bond and you're connecting with your child. Your goal is always that they feel good about themselves. Your goal is never to shame them or blame them or make them feel bad about themselves. They have to have consequences when they do something bad though. But if they feel good, they do good. If they feel bad, they do bad. When a kid is acting out, it's a tell to me. It means their self-esteem is in the toilet. It's impossible to be rotten and kick other people and be nasty if you feel good about yourself. Just doesn't happen. So you got to work on their self-esteem. When do you stop using the behavior board? After about 3 weeks, once you get it, then you deal with everything, not just what's on the board. And then you don't need the behavior boards anymore. But lots of my clients continue to use it. Some of them quit using it, and then maybe a couple of years from now, they'll start using it again. They just come up with something new, like maybe you have to get a new system in place for homework or something, or chores. They might want to get a chore chart going. So then on the behavior board, they'd put down follow chore chart, and then they'd have it all the chores written out just to organize things. But yeah, it's a teaching tool. I started my business about 20 years ago, and for the first year, I didn't even have a behavior board because I've never used one. I was sort of trying to teach what I did, but that's wrong. I don't teach what I did. I do eventually, but we start differently, right? So, and then I invented the behavior board and I put the parents on it. That's what makes it work, because I couldn't quite get across to the parents that they need to be accountable too. That's what I wasn't able to get across until I invented the behavior board with the parents on it. If you're not accountable, you're just a dictator. You are not a leader. Leaders are accountable. Leaders listen. Leaders are easy to reason with too. Like if I did something my kids didn't like, they would have come to me right away. Mom, I didn't think you were being very fair about that. And I'd say, yeah, you're right. What do you want? And then I'd make it up to them. So they had a voice. You've got to be accountable. If you're not accountable, you're not a leader. You're just a dictator. Okay, as a grandparent that is you got 40 hours a week with the grandson, can I create a behavior board for my tenure. So in other words, can non-parents do the behavior board? You'd have to talk to the parents about that or decide if that works for you. You've got that child a full time basically. So, like during work hours. So yeah, it might be an idea. Yeah, might be. But I don't teach grandparenting. So I'm a grandparent, but I don't teach it because I teach parenting. And my connection with my granddaughter is very different from my connection with my kids because she's not mine. She is my son and his wife's child. So I'm very aware of that. I love her as much as my own kids, but I'm very aware she's not my child. So, I mean, no one tells me how to manage her and I don't tell them anything either. But if it was anything big, I would ask the parents. If it was some big decision to be, I wouldn't make any decisions regarding her. That's their job. So I'm very aware of that. I got to move over to TikTok now if you want to join me over there. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you check out my website, BratBusters.com, you can see my free behavior board. You can check out the boot camp courses. There's 2 of them, one for toddlers, one for 3 to 12-year-olds. They're both on sale right now. 10% off Mother's Day sale. It ends in a few days. It's all on the website. Or you can look into coaching. There's a big wait list, but I will get to it eventually. Or you can check out our podcast. My daughter and I work together, and we also do the podcast together. So you can check that out. That's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast, and it's on all the platforms. It's also saved on YouTube, and it's filmed, so you can see us too if you're interested. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm hopping over to TikTok, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Happy parenting. Okay, I just counted how many buttons it is. It's 10 buttons to go from Instagram to TikTok. What a nuisance. There is a way to do them all at once. We looked into it, but it's technically difficult for me to do. So we decided not to do it. I'm not very technical. That was about a year ago. Yes. My daughter just said, yeah, never mind, we won't do this. The only time we ever really argue, and it's not even arguing, it's more like stupid bickering, is with technical stuff. If she's trying to teach me something on the computer, and yeah, I'm not getting it because I'm older. Yeah, that's the only time. I get really frustrated with her because I feel she's not explaining it right. She feels she's explained it right, and I'm just not listening. And that's why we don't work together. We work together, but not in the same place. Okay. Welcome to my live. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you check out my website, BratBusters.com, you can get my free behavior board, my courses, which are on sale right now because we're running a Mother's Day sale, 10% off. And you can look into coaching. There's a big wait list, but I will get to it eventually. And you can check out our podcast. It is called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. My daughter and I do it together because we work together and we're best friends and all that stuff. And we have a lot of fun doing it. Anyway, I'm going to answer as many questions as I can. I like to mix them up. So if I skip questions, it's because they're repeats, or I sometimes go to the bottom of the page to make sure that you're still here because people come and go in live. So if I'm answering a question, I'd like you to be here. Okay. Okay, Amy would be, yeah, technically it's Tabitha. Yeah, I am the thing is with me with technology is I've been running my online business now for about 20 years, but I'm limited. Like if something new comes up, it throws me off. So, but I can run it. I do all the finance stuff, I do all that kind of stuff. I can do that okay. But even that, my daughter sometimes has to step in. Okay, Mom, out of the way. I'm not even allowed to talk about it. I'm not allowed to sit here and watch her do it because I ask too many questions and they're all stupid. My 22-month-old doesn't talk yet. Should I be worried? I can't say because I'm not a doctor, but lots of kids don't talk until they're 3, if that makes you feel any better. My son came out of the womb talking. He came out, hello, mother. How are you? Like he just talked nonstop right from day one, always vocalizing, just constantly. His daughter, not so much. She's more quiet. I know I talked a lot, evidently. I'm sure you could guess. My daughter didn't, though. They're all different, right? It's chatty nonstop, but isn't English. Yeah, that's what they do. My son was, God, he talked like, he was just constantly vocalizing. Yeah, really, right from day one, he was very vocal. Poor Amy. I do feel sorry for my daughter when we're working together on anything to do with technology and the computer. I do pity her, as I should, because I'm not good at it. And I get so frustrated. I keep asking her, well, what about that? I'm doing it, Mom. Give me a second. I've been on here for 10 seconds. Give me a minute. Just go sit in the, and she'll often tell me, just go sit in the other room, please. And I'll go sit there like I'm in the naughty chair. How to help 2-year-old be more social. They don't really have social skills at that age. They will learn, and they often will play side by side, but they don't necessarily play together, if that makes any sense. They can be right together playing, but they play independently in their own little heads. They're not usually interacting a lot at 2. That usually starts maybe 2.5, 3. That's when they start to do more of that. But if you mean saying hi to people, don't worry about that. Don't force that on them. They'll eventually learn. Thoughts on slapping hand when saying no? No, that's fear-based parenting method. You're slapping. If you resort to yelling or hitting, that's fear-based. It's not a strength. It's weak. So yeah, don't do it. Okay, I'm going to read my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. These are my basic tips for toddlers. Okay, number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, connect with toddlers in their world, not your world. You don't go to the nail salon with them. You go to the park and roll down the hill. They look at you differently when you enter their world. They just do. Number 4, discipline toddlers in their world. They're not about words. They're about actions. They're not about these mini therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and big emotions, what they should do, what they shouldn't do. It's garbage. That's not for them. That's for you. Okay, they're about consistent corrective actions. Their language is actions, okay? They'll even mimic you. Yes, Mommy, I know it was bad. I won't do it again. Then they do it again and you're like, what? Because you're using your language, not theirs. That's not their language. Verbalizing is not their language. It's actions. And number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed up there, okay? They're just forming. I always say that they're nuts, but they're not nuts. They just haven't developed sanity yet, okay? They're just going to do what they're going to do. They're in that discovery phase. It's like, that looks like fun. They'll just do it. They're just forming. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years and the first year you were a potato laying on a mattress. They're just forming. Imagine if this whole world was brand new to you. Would you have context around it? No. You might stick your hand down your pants and smear poop on the wall too, okay? Oh, greetings from Mexico. Hello, Mexico. You've been great help for me and my husband. Excellent. I'm so glad to hear that. I don't think I have any clients in Mexico right now. I don't usually look at where people are from when I'm working with them. I don't usually know where they're from, but I don't think I have any clients in Mexico. I've got a lot of clients in Australia. Not Mexico though. I've only been to Mexico 3 times in my life, and I got to get down there again. Actually, I love Mexico. I love the weather. You got to put down an age if you're asking a question. My 11-year-old daughter argues with me. I explain my point and my decision. She keeps arguing. Maybe you're talking too much. If she's arguing, she has something to argue with. So yeah, there's a saying that I use with teenagers is you can be a right fighter or you can be happy. Don't be a right fighter. Once you've explained the situation, stop talking. If she keeps going on about it, just go, whatever. Say, I'm not going to discuss it anymore. And then stop talking about it. Yeah, they can't argue against someone who isn't willing to argue. And plus, if you're a calm, loving parent, they can only argue with you for so long. You cannot argue with a calm, loving parent forever. It's impossible. There's nothing to argue with. My son once said, he was, I think, 15, and he said to me, he was mad about something, and he wanted to rebel. And he said to me, I could never even rebel because you're too reasonable and easy to talk to. It was meant to be an insult, but I took it as a compliment. Anyway, that was kind of funny. But yeah, they can't rebel against a leader. They don't backtalk a leader. They just don't do it. You said you don't give attention during a tantrum. What if the toddler's asking you questions? You ignore it. They're just trying to pull you in. They'll do anything. I hate me. I hate you. I'm hungry. I'm tired. They'll do anything to pull you in. Just ignore it. You're just filing your nails. If they're screaming and having a tantrum, why aren't you answering me? Just ignore. As soon as they stop having the tantrum, oh, you all done? Do you want to go for a walk? You engage as soon as it's over. They will learn. Some of them will even say, why are you ignoring me? And you're just filing your nails. Let it go. Let it go. But the connection afterwards is the important thing. Once they stop, so they will learn that you are going to ignore the crazy and reward the calm with attention. The calm is afterwards. Yeah, you just ignore tantrums unless they're self-harming. If they're hurting themselves, hurting someone else, or damaging property, you physically restrain them. Just hold them for 30 or 60 seconds, let go. If they start up again, hold on to them, just keep them safe, right? But you don't look at them or talk to them. A tantrum is not really caught up in feelings and emotions. A tantrum is all based on anger. It's a loss of emotional control and not getting their own way. You do not need to validate that. You do not enter that zone at all. Let them figure it out. "14 months, you're redirecting a tantrum at 14 months. It's around 16 months that you start ignoring. But yeah, before that, you're like, oh, this is a lovely book. Oh, look at this. And you're reading to yourself over you sort of are away from them, but you pick up their favorite book and you just, ooh, look at the fox jumped over it. So you're redirecting, but it's indirect redirection. You're not saying, come over here. You're just reading out loud, or you're playing with their favorite toy. The idea is that when they're little, they will come over and start playing with you and the tantrum will end. That's the idea. 10-year-old still has tantrums. Past the age of 4, they only do what works. There must be a payoff. You must be entering the tantrum zone. There has to be a payoff for having a tantrum at 10. So in other words, you're feeding it somehow. I just don't know how. Toddler parenting strategies. Check out my course. I've got a sale on my courses right now, the toddler one and the 3 to 12-year-old one. Those are my boot camp courses on my website, BratBusters.com. What about adopted daughter who has trauma and she is 4, really dysregulated at school, hurting others? Okay, I'm adopted, but I was adopted as a newborn, so there was no trauma. I love being adopted. I always felt special and chosen. I thought it was just I thought I always felt special for being adopted. Anyway, so if she's got trauma, though, that would be coaching. I don't know what she's traumatized over. I don't know. Things are different. If you've got a child who's been abused in some way or been through some kind of a trauma, that's coaching. I need to assess the situation. I do specialize in crisis work, but right now, unfortunately, we've shut down coaching about 6 weeks ago. I'm just booked out solid. So, but it'll open up hopefully soon. We're going to try and figure something out here. I don't know what we're going to do, but anyway. How do you work through leadership parenting for a 13-month-old? Not really. You're just loving them up. You're just sort of loving and cuddling up babies. That's all you're doing with them. The lessons don't really start to kick in really big time, but until about 16 months. That's when they can start. That's when you're starting to discipline more. You use consistent corrective actions. So if they hit with a toy, you take it away. You say no. You ignore the tantrums. You know, they sort of are starting to understand right from wrong, whereas before that, they don't really. So you just love them up, play with them in their world. A lot of cuddling, just a lot of, affection and all that. That's all you're doing. But also, when you say you're going to do something, even with a 13-month-old, if you put them on the change table, if they start kicking to get their own way to get off that change table, don't let them. Like my kids learned at a very young age, like when they started doing that, they learned that mom was never going to give in. So they just stopped fighting me. Whereas their dad was more likely to say, oh, do you want me to get you down? We'll do something else for a minute or something. Yeah, but they knew when mom said something, it was going to happen. So that can kind of start at a very young age. Anyway, I got to get going. Thanks so much for joining me. Check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board, my boot camp courses. They're on sale right now for Mother's Day. You can look into coaching. I've got a big wait list, but I will get to it eventually. And you can look into our podcast. My daughter and I do it together because we work together. And it's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. And we just did one on Mother's Day yesterday. And it was called Lessons Learned from Our Mothers. I talked about my mom. She talked about me. And we had a lot of fun doing it. And then there's a really funny story about me at the very end that makes me look like a very bad mother. It just happened about a week ago. It's very funny, but it was kind of embarrassing too. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and we'll talk again soon. Bye now.